You're tuned in to the Keetria Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetria. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another wonderful episode of SOB Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetria, and I have a great guest joining us today to talk about his wonderful tour and some of the great things that he has going on. I'm speaking to Kenyon Glover, who's a former NBA player. He's an actor, producer, director, model, host, motivator, of course, author, and a business owner. So today he's hopping in for a quick second. We're going to have him back for a part 2, but we're starting with part 1 today. And he's talking to us about his foundation, which is Fitness Beats Depression, and also that the tour that they're kicking off starting in the month of August as well. So let me give him a couple of seconds to give an introduction, and then we'll roll forward from there. So, hey, what's up, Kenyon? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. I'm doing absolutely awesome. Just getting ready for this tour. I'm so excited, to get it started. This has been, a project that I'm very, very passionate about, so I'm just looking forward to getting it going and saving and changing as many lives as I possibly can. So that's the whole mission right now. So that's all we focus on.
Good stuff. Good deal. Yeah, and I've heard so many wonderful things about the things that you guys are doing when it comes to just mental health overall, and also with your tour. I guess let's start with, give us an introduction about yourself as far as how you got started. Because you started off as an NBA player, and then,
Right.
You had some experiences, and it kind of led to where you are now as being a business owner and entrepreneur, and the awareness that you're creating in regards to depression. So give us a little background scoop on that story, if you will.
Yeah, I started off in the NBA. Well, I started off playing overseas first, played in London, England, and then I began to get some looks from the NBA, and the Milwaukee Bucks picked me up. And I spent a very short stint in the NBA because of a career-ending injury. And after that happened, that was pretty much my first experience with depression. Of course, I went into a deep depressive state and attempted suicide. And of course, I failed at it. It was by God's design for me to fail, and by God's grace, I'm still here. During that time, I didn't know it was depression that I was going. I never have really felt depression. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it felt like. I just knew I was just at a point where I was ready to take my life because, my career was taken from me. So I was just ready to check out at that time. And then, like I said, God got me through it. And, a year later, I got into, the entertainment business. And I kind of got some things going. I kind of, restored and renewed myself in a way for a while. And then I fell back into depression some years later because of some personal things that was going on. And that was the first time I had actually learned what depression was, because I attempted suicide again, in which I actually was pronounced dead. But my wife got me to the doctor in time, got me to the hospital in time, and was able to revive me and bring me back to life, because I had swallowed a lot of pills. I had overdosed, but they actually got to me in time, revived me, sucked the pills out of me, and I was fine after that. And I was committed to a psych ward. I was staying there for like a month, and that was the first time I learned about depression and what it was. And after that, it was like, wow, I'm a person suffering from depression.
Yeah.
So I started to really do my research and educate myself on depression and things like that, and I started becoming aware of what it is and how it is a silent killer. People are really suffering in silence from this illness, and it is so real. And I've learned over the years why people get to that point of taking their own life. I totally understand it now. I never did understand it before, but now it's like I totally get it because I've been in it.
Yeah.
I can relate to people that's going through it. I've tried to take my own life, so I totally get what it is that people are going through and why people are suffering in silence. And this silent killer is something that needs to be taken serious. It doesn't need to be taken lightly. It's not something that you can just go sleep it off, and you'll be all right. Or go think positive. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
And people need to really understand that it's not simple as you think it is. So you know what? And the thing about it is, I have been actually coping with depression, and I'm still suffering from it to this day. And the way I cope with it is through fitness. I found out that, I need to kind of share with the world on how I'm coping with this. So that's how the movement Fitness Beats Depression came about. I said, you know what, I want to share with the world on how I'm coping with it, and maybe it can touch other people's lives, and maybe they can kind of, take this as a coping mechanism for themselves and be able to get through, the depression that they're going through, whatever they're going through, and maybe this can help them. Maybe this can save lives or change lives. So I said, you know what, why don't I create this movement and go from city to city, putting on like a seminar and showing people, this is what I do to cope with it. So the seminar, the movement consists of, live workouts. We teach it meditation technique. We give it free massages. It's an absolutely free event. Every city is a free event. People can just come, register, and come and join the seminar. There will be depression, literature, a lot of different things going on throughout the course of each event and each city that hopefully, can inspire people, motivate people, empower people that, look, we can beat this illness. It just needs to be brought to the forefront. So that's why I created this movement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I love the fact that you are openly discussing, what the process has been like for you, because a lot of times, especially for people who have not really experienced it. We all have times to where we're not at our best or we have bad days, but sometimes we just don't really understand what a person is going through when they say they're depressed, because oftentimes there's a stigma or we think it should look a certain way. So speak to us a bit about how you were able to, I guess, just kind of come to the realization that, hey, this is an actual illness that I'm suffering from, as opposed to, hey, I'm just having a bad day. Like, how did you figure out that it was actually the illness that you were going through, as opposed to just you being, having just a bad day?
Well, when I started noticing and being aware of how I was feeling each and every day, when you have suicidal thoughts pretty much every second of every single day, that's not normal. You know what I mean? And when you find yourself sad and just confused and frustrated, and a lot of times it's for nothing. I find myself sad for no reason. I'm like, what am I sad about? It's like nothing has happened for me to be sad about, but I'm just sad. I find myself crying and stuff for no reason at all, for nothing to be crying about.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of highs and lows. Every single day it's a high and a low. I can go from being happy and excited, and the next 5 minutes I'm like feeling like I'm the worst person in the world. I have the worst thing in the world, and it's just a very, very hard situation to deal with when it's a constant thing, when you have to deal with it every day, every second of every day. It's a constant mental warfare that you're going through. It's a mental warfare every single day. It's a battle inside your mind that sometimes you feel like you can't win, and it's almost like inside your mind, it's a good versus evil situation going on inside your mind. And it's something that's like you can't get control of it. You don't know how to control. You don't know how to control your thoughts. You don't know how to control the bad feelings, the good feelings. It's like it's uncontrollable. And most of the time, it's a bad feeling each and every day. And you're trying your best to override those bad feelings with good positive thoughts and surrounding yourself with good energy and good positive people, but sometimes that just doesn't help. It's just a feeling sometimes you feel like you can't overcome, and that's what I go through, and that's what I began to take notice of how I was feeling each and every day, and I had to get help, seek help, start talking about what I was going through, what I was feeling, and that's when they said, yo, you're suffering from depression. They diagnosed it with chronic depression. I've been dealing with it for years now.
Yeah. You said something that was very important. You said that people just it was like when people start to notice, like, hey, you need help. But a lot of times people are reluctant to seek that sort of professional assistance that they really need. What are your thoughts on that as far as like getting to a point where, your thoughts are not consistent, in the terms of thinking positive or, all that stuff is not working. It's just more negative thoughts that are kind of piling up on you. Why do you think so many people don't seek the help that they need?
I think a lot of people don't want to take accountability that they're suffering. They don't want to admit that something is wrong with them. I think some people got to the point where they are embarrassed that they need help, because I guess we're taught to try to handle things on our own, figure things out on our own. We're taught to try to have a tough mindset and be tough, mentally tough, and all of this. But when it comes down instances at some point in our life where, sometimes you just need professional help. Sometimes you just need to seek professional help to find out what's going on. You have to, lay down your pride sometime and go seek that help, because we all need help at some point. And I think a lot of people just scared to admit it. They're scared to come to the realization that something is wrong with them, and they just don't want to get that help. And I think that's where people, tend to get to that point of just suicide and taking their own life, because that pride is just so strong inside them that they just don't want to get that help.
Yeah, that's important. That is definitely important. So, and with Fitness Beats Depression, I know you guys kind of offer those workshops, and you do different events throughout the year. When it comes to like managing depression, like, are there any core services or anything like that so you have the fitness, so anything in addition to that, like any resources or things like that in the community that you guys help people with?
Yeah, so that will be definitely incorporated into each event. Like I said, we're going to have some professionals there, some motivational speakers there. We're going to have different literature and things like that will hopefully help people, to seek out the help that they need, or give them some advice, or, give them some techniques they can try to overcome whatever they're going through, the depression or anxiety or whatever. So, we're going to have plenty of things to offer that will hopefully, help people, as much as we can.
Great. Which cities are you guys visiting? I know you launched in Dallas on August the 11th, correct?
Yeah, our first event is Dallas, Texas, August 11th. Be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can go on the website, fitnessbeatsdepression.com, and get all the information. As far as the first event, they can register, they can donate toward the cause or whatever. And after that, the next city is Chicago, September 14th. That'll be the next city.
Got it, Chicago. Good deal. All right. So, Kenyon, let's jump back into, we're going to really just take a quick deep dive into mental health, because I just want to really get this information out and help people to understand how they can get assistance and really just be able to put themselves in a better state of mind. You mentioned earlier that sometimes first of all, when you know that something is going wrong, your thoughts and stuff is just kind of like reoccurring negative thoughts. And then, of course, the stigma is everybody thinks depression look like this. I've actually had a good friend of mine once had told me that she was not feeling well, but, we're brought up to think tough and all this other stuff. And, you're just having a bad day. And she had gotten to the point where she ended up in a situation where she was forced into mental help, because a lot of the family members kind of laugh like, oh, whatever, because we don't really understand what the depression looks like. But talk to us a bit about, what does it look like? You say, okay, hey, I'm feeling bad. That's what you experience. Like, okay, I know what I'm thinking. I know how I feel. But for those of us who are on the outside looking in, people that are observing the loved ones or whatever going through these bad times, like, what are some of the things that other people can do to help if they know that a friend is depressed or they're just not themselves?
Yeah. One thing I could say is that my wife noticed about me is my mood swings. I would have crazy mood swings. Like I said, you have highs and you have lows. And my wife just noticed that, I could be in a high, and the next minute later, I'm feeling low.
Yeah,
I could be sitting there talking positive, and all of a sudden the next second, I'm like, talking about killing myself, or talking about suicide, or talking about, jumping off a cliff or something. And she's like, well, you just talked about, you're feeling good, and you can't wait till this happens, because this is going to take off, and now you're talking about, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of mood swings that you go through. So I would say look for mood swings in people. Like one second they could be high, the next second they're on a low. And like I said before, sometimes when you see people, they start crying, like in the middle of, sometimes it could be like in the middle of a conversation, and you could be talking about something positive, and all of a sudden that person just starts crying all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And you're not even realizing why. And that could be a sign right there that something's wrong with this person, and the next thing is, if people is really sad all the time, and you just don't know why this person could be sad all the time, and a lot of times, like you said before, people just don't really understand how depression works. And a lot of, especially us as African Americans, like I said, we talk to, just be tough, or, sleep it off, or think positive, or whatever. You just cannot overcome that sometimes. And sometimes you find yourself sad all the time. So that's one thing to look for. People are sad all the time for no reason. Of course, there's going to be things that happen in your life that make you sad. But sometimes, people get sad. Like, I get sad sometimes for no reason at all. Something, I can have the most blessed life, a lot of things going right, money in the bank account. I everybody say, well, dang, why did this famous person commit suicide? He had the money, the cars, the fame, the this, the that, and the other. And sometimes it's not about that. It's not about materialistic things. It's not about, your status in life. Depression doesn't care about your status. Depression doesn't care about race, gender, color, creed, whatever. Depression attacks everybody, and people need to understand that. Status does not matter. Depression will attack anybody at any given point. Me and a friend of mine yesterday was talking about all these famous people like Robin Williams. I'm not sure if you know who that is, but the actor Robin Williams was, a very, very brilliant actor, had money, fame, all of this. He committed suicide because he was depressed. And people that say that hung around him was like, he was always upbeat, he always made people laugh and this and that, he was always cheery and all this and that. And next thing you know, he's dead from suicide because he was suffering in silence. He was suffering on his own. People would have never known this dude was depressed, and obviously there was a chemical imbalance going on that people didn't know about.
Right,
so it's one of those things that sometimes it's really hard to pinpoint, because sometimes you won't even see signs of people that's going through depression because they're trying so hard to not show signs. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want you to think that they're crazy. Because we tend to label depression or mental health. Let me put it like that. People tend to correlate mental health with being crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And I think we take that phrase crazy and mental health when it's really kind of two different things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And only because you're suffering from a mental health disease called depression doesn't make you crazy. There's, like I said, there's different elements of mental health. There's different phases of depression. So don't just think because you're suffering inside, that doesn't make you crazy. I don't consider myself crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm suffering from depression.
That's true. You definitely got a point. This has definitely been good, and I'm so happy that we have organizations like yours, Fitness Beats Depression, to kind of help combat some of that and give people just some time to really reflect and enjoy themselves, because it definitely is, it's a huge issue in all communities. Before we wrap up, Kenyon, let me ask you, if you could just leave us, from your own personal experience, leave us with some advice that you would lend to somebody who may be listening right now and suffering from depression, but they just don't know where to turn for help.
Well, that's the first thing. You got to, first of all, realize that you are suffering. That's the first thing and foremost. Admit to yourself that you are suffering. You are suffering from something, and it could be depression. And you need to talk to somebody. If you're not going to seek help professionally, you need to talk to somebody. You need to tell somebody what you're going through, how you're feeling. Sometimes you just need to vent and just get it out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that even helps. Find somebody that you can trust, that you can talk to, and just vent and just explain how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way. You may not know why you're feeling that way, but you just need to just get it out, talk to somebody, and just get help. That's basically all I can really say. Stop suffering. Please stop suffering in silence, because this is a deadly illness. Trust me. So many people are dying every single day from depression. And me personally, I'm tired of hearing about people committing suicide on a daily basis over depression. That's why I created this movement. That's why I'm hoping and praying that this movement can help inspire the world. So, yeah, that's just my advice. Just get help, talk to somebody, vent, do whatever you need to do.
Good deal. Great stuff, Kenyon. Thanks so much. So you guys heard it, Mr. Kenyon Glover, the founder of Fitness Beats Depression. Those guys are kicking off their national tour starting on August the 11th. In Dallas. Kenyon, before we wrap up, please let us know where we can find out more information on Fitness Beats Depression, and so where we can go get information on the tour as well.
Yeah, so the website is www.fitnessbeatsdepression.com, fitnessbeatsdepression.com, or you can go to my IG, follow me, Kenyon D. Glover, or my company, KG Experience. That's KG, the letter X, PERINCE. Follow me on Facebook, KG Experience. So you can always find me posting things about mental health, depression, things like that. So definitely check it out.
Sounds good, Kenyon. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're definitely looking forward to having you back on part 2 as we continue to talk about your entrepreneurship endeavors and some of the other things that you have going. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
You too. Thanks for tuning in to SOB Style of Business, the podcast. Be sure to connect with us at styleofbusiness.co, where you can stream past episodes or get more info on our services. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please follow us on iTunes and Spotify at SOB Style of Business, the podcast. See you guys next week.